Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. The Lycan's Last Breath. Episode 9. Chapter 16. Noah. I take a deep breath in front of the doors to the council meeting room. They are already gathered in there, expecting me. I nod at the guards at the door and they open them for me. All of the council members rise as the doors open and I come in. I make my way to my seat, at the head of the table, and signal for them to seat. First order of business, I say, not giving anyone else the chance to speak first. If this is going to work, I have to make it clear that I don't want any opposition. The search for a wife is over. Ah! Great news! One of them exclaims. Wonderful, Your Majesty. Another one says. Lady Violet is one lucky woman. Someone else says. I look at William, sitting a few seats down to my right. He simply shrugs, not planning on getting involved in this. You misunderstand. Lady Violet found her mate in our party, it is warrior Lucas. She has come back with us to be with him. She bears his mark. There's a gasp. They're all staring at me in disbelief. Well, Your Highness, if I may, one of them rises, there are so many other houses ready to offer you a suitable partner, and they have already agreed to host you. I can at least guarantee you that in my house, mate or not, your potential wife would never choose someone over you. As I said, the search for a wife is over. There is a deafening silence in the room. The council member that had stood up slowly sits back down on his seat, not taking his eyes off of me. There is a mixture of emotions in the air. Shock, confusion, anger. With all due respect, Your Highness, that is not your call to make. Someone else stands up. It's Caldwell, by far my least favorite council member. There is tradition. These families supported the crown in the time of your father, grandfather, and his father before him. We cannot just decide to change our customs because… Why? Because the first candidate found her mate? We cannot disrespect these houses in this way. Many members raise their voices in agreement. Or, could it be, this mate of yours is clouding your judgment, Your Highness? May I remind you she is a simple wolf? She is not suitable to be your mate, much less queen, he says. And who are you to decide if she's suitable for me or not? She is my goddess-chosen mate, Your Majesty. Caldwell smiles sardonically. Don't be naive. Such a thing isn't really real, it's just hormones playing their part. You were in unknown territory, severely injured, and this mate of yours saved you, arguably. Let's not pretend like this isn't some form of Stockholm Syndrome. Some council members laugh, others are not so sure that mocking their king is smart. Council member Caldwell, as much as I appreciate your input, if I have to repeat myself a third time, I might have to adjourn this meeting until you can all process what I said. There's a moment of silence as I have clearly insulted their capacity to understand plain words. Caldwell's expression shows he's not pleased, but other than that, he's unreadable. He finally sits down. Very well, I say, I'd appreciate it if you all communicated back with your houses and passed along the information that my search for a wife is over. It's up to you if you want to upset them by telling them the truth, that I won't be taking in a wife at all. I'm sorry, Your Highness, but this can't possibly be the best solution, Council member Olcott says, standing up, I understand it's unsavory to have to take in a wife while having a mate, you even bear her mark, but this is politics, emotions should be set aside for the greater good. Unsavory? You know what's unsavory? I have to rein in my temper, my counsel lying to me, making me believe I was visiting these families personally to negotiate the placement of our warriors on their land, while in reality, what was negotiated behind my back between this council and the families, was that I would take in a wife, something that goes directly against my expressed wishes. I stand up slowly as I continue. Do you feel that I am a child, Council member Olcott? You can manipulate so easily. They tried to kill my mate, Council member Olcott, with wolfsbane. And do you realize what would have happened if they had succeeded? I would have killed every living thing within that manor. I would have ended an entire royal family, and I would not have thought twice about it. I see Olcott shiver at the coldness in my voice. The other council members have stopped looking me in the eye and are either looking at the table or the exit, just in case. Make no mistake. You do not tell me what to do, you advise me. That is the extent of your role here. I walk away from my seat for a few minutes, giving them space to recover from that aura thing Vera told me about. When I return to the table, no one dares say a word. Now, I understand this change of plans comes with complications, so we should address that instead. I say, for instance, is there any way to negotiate with the family's protection for their land? It benefits them. It is beyond me why they wouldn't want trained warriors to protect them against rogues. No one speaks, and after a few awkward seconds, William clears his throat. If I may, Your Highness, House Cerulean has agreed to host castle warriors whenever you're ready to send them. Rogues have already pushed the family to the edge of their territory, they have only a percentage of the farmland they had before, and have lost countless lives guarding what little they have left. Very well, I will see that a party is sent, I say. Council member William bows, thank you, Your Highness. Anyone else? I ask. Council member Olcott stands up. They don't want castle warriors because they do not trust the crown, Your Highness. They don't trust you. You are uneducated in our ways and traditions, and quite frankly disrespectful to the foundations of this kingdom. They will not trust someone who disrespects them. He speaks boldly, but dares not meet my gaze. So, their solution is to let rogues take over their land? I may be uneducated, but they are half-wits if that's the case. Your Grace! You cannot disrespect our families like that. Caldwell yells, indignant. Tell me, what would you call it then? They are being offered help. They are refusing said help because I won't marry their daughters and stick to tradition, all the while their wealth significantly diminishes with every rogue attack. I turn to Eli. What was the percentage of land lost last year alone? 32% of all available farmland, 28% directly owned by the families, he says. 28%, I repeat, almost as if speaking to myself. So tell me, council members, what would you call it? They all stay quiet again. Speak to your houses. If they refuse help, I will not force them to take it, but I will offer all of their servants, staff, soldiers, and farmers a safe haven in our land. These people are being left unprotected because the families are acting like conceited children. That stops now. They don't have to trust me, they just have to stop being fools. Anyway, it's up to them, I shrug as I stand up. We'll continue this meeting after lunch. But we barely even started. You're high, someone protests. We've barely even started and you all have bored me already, I say, giving my back to them as I leave. I'll see you all after lunch. I leave the room and no one dares say anything else. Even if they did, I don't think I would have heard them. I make my way to the now repurposed King's Chambers. Vera had the brilliant idea of turning all of that space into a new clinic, since we refused to move into Alistair's chambers. Even Caleb offered up his beta wing to be repurposed as he has taken up a warrior room. Eli also had no intentions of moving into the beta wing, he decided to stay close to his own, the warriors. The sweetest scent of vanilla and cinnamon draws my attention, I knew she'd be here. When I enter the new clinic, Vera is sitting down at the center of the large room that is now being repurposed as an emergency room for incoming cases. She's sitting with a bunch of documents and medicines, she's taking inventory. Everyone bows their head as I make my way to her. She feels me approaching and raises her head. Hey, you! How was the council meeting? Short, I say, extending my hand to her. Come, I think we both deserve a break. No, Vera immediately takes my hand, not even questioning where we're going. As she rises, the papers that were on her lap fall to the floor. We maneuver carefully through the mountains of paperwork. I take a quick look around and it strikes me that this place seemed a lot more put together before we left. What happened here? I ask her as we make our way to the door. She turns to look at some of the old healers that are just looming over her all the time. She's giving them the stink eye. Don't worry, I'll find out soon. They all scatter, understanding the implicit threat in her tone. I can't help but chuckle. Seeing her always raises my mood, but moody Vera is hilarious, as long as it's not directed to me. We make it past the clinic, the beta chambers, the council meeting room, and the dining room as we head to exit the castle. Where are we going? She finally asks. You'll see, I simply say. When we are exiting the castle, the guards bow slightly to me, noting that I am leaving without an escort. One of them comes forward a few steps, but I shake my head. I rather have no one with us for this. We walk further away from the castle, venturing within the forest a few miles until we reach the clearing. Once there, I proceed to take my clothes off and fold them neatly on the ground. When I turn to look at Vera, she scans me up and down with an eyebrow raised. You know, as tempting as this is, I don't think I want mosquito bites on my ass, she says. I chuckle. I like where your mind went, but I quickly shift into my Lycan. Realization dawns on her face and she smiles, quickly removing her clothes and folding them next to mine. Finally, she says. She closes her eyes and breathes slowly, concentrating. While to most wolves, or even Lycans, her age, the transformation to our beast forms is almost instant, Vera hasn't had much time to bond with her wolf, so it takes her a few seconds to call her forth. Suddenly, I see her begin to transform. I'm always in awe whenever I see her wolf. She looks like a mythical creature, her fur iridescent and changing tones in the sun. Her big white eyes also have a shine to them. My Lycan can't help but begin wagging his tail. We take a step towards her, as she happily taps her paws on the ground, feeling it for the first time in a long time, but as soon as she sees us, she begins running away, playfully. She runs deeper and deeper within the forest. If Vera in her human form is unnaturally fast, in her wolf form, she's unmatchable. The trip to visit the cerulean house really would have been a lot quicker if she had been able to turn. We run for maybe 10 miles in no time, reaching the destination Vera's wolf likely had in mind, her waterhole. There are several hidden lakes and waterholes in Lycan territory, some of which we aren't even aware of yet. This one seemed to have been hidden from everyone until Vera's wolf found it one time. It's become her favorite place to come to ever since. The waterhole is covered in greenery all around, with large trees surrounding it protectively. Only some rays of the sun are allowed to come through. With one look my way and without hesitation, she jumps in. We see her swimming further and further away, enjoying the way the water droplets on her fur makes it seem almost as if she's glowing. She even swims on her back, with her paws resting upwards and her tail wagging underwater. We wait for her at the shore. Lycans and water don't get along very well. My Lycan is looking at his mate, wagging his tail incessantly. Last time this happened, he wagged it so hard it hurt for a week. I had promised he wouldn't get any more FaceTime with her if he kept this up. But this ban on Vera transforming also weighs heavily on him. He misses his mate. After about half an hour, Vera swims back to us, shaking off the excess water from her fur. When she comes closer to us, my Lycan tackles her to the ground to lick off the rest of the water from every inch of her body. Once he's done, Vera sticks back to her human form, and my Lycan proceeds to lick her entire face. Stop! She's giggling, trying to push him off, but he won't listen. The past months, it's been harder to control him, especially around Vera. Right now, I have to really concentrate to turn back into my human form. Once I do, I get off of Vera so she can wipe her face. I'm sorry about that. He's been harder and harder to control around you. Ever since Alistair tried to have me killed, it's like he has a mind of his own. Don't worry about it, Vera says, wiping her face with some water and then coming to sit next to me. I wonder why that is. Both Caleb and Eli have let their Lycan take over completely, and this has never happened to either of them. Vera stays quiet for a while. You know, your Lycan sounds a lot more like a wolf than a Lycan, she finally says. I turn to look at her, but I'm a Lycan, I say. I don't mean to sound dismissive, but it's a ridiculous idea for anyone who has seen me turn. I mean, how crazy is it really? Your mother was a wolf, one from a very powerful line at that. Us werewolves have a partnership, so to speak, with our wolves. If they don't like something, if they don't agree with something we do, they'll let us know. They have a mind of their own. Lycans, on the other hand, are subservient to their human forms. I stay silent, considering the idea Vera is suggesting. After a few minutes, it still sounds absurd. So, how was the council meeting? She asks, breaking the silence. I sigh. Well, I put the whole wife thing to rest, I say. How did that go? Any opposition? She asks sarcastically. Of course, she knew this wasn't going to go over well with the council. Caldwell, as usual. Fortunately, the majority had very little to say. She frowns. Doesn't this seem a little too easy? She asks, concerned. Definitely. Let's just hope the plan we propose will counter any further disagreement. Speaking of which, what happened to the clinic? She shakes her head in disbelief. Can you believe those bastards dismantled everything? We were gone for a few days, and they dismantled the entire setup we had been working on for months because it wasn't working for them. Noah. You might have to bail me out with the council because I'm sending those rats back home if they pull some shit like this again. I chuckle. You can do whatever you want, V. It's your clinic, you can handle it whichever way you like. Thank you for that, she smiles. I'll have them cleaning toilets by the end of the week, as soon as I find out who the mastermind was. I smile as she leans onto me. We stay like this for several minutes, just enjoying each other's company and the beautiful scenery. We should get back, I say after a while. Yeah, I have so much work to do still, I might have to pull an all-nighter again. She stands up and prepares to turn. I stay in my human form to watch her. I usually like spending time with her wolf in my human form, her mere presence is soothing. When she's fully turned, her wolf comes to me, licking my face gently. I missed you, too, I tell her, rubbing her head gently. Then, I turn into my Lycan so that we can return back to the castle. This time, we run side by side, with a lot less urgency. When we get to the clearing, we each turn and put on our clothes. Are you ready? I ask her. Yeah, she says, flipping her hair from the collar of her shirt. I offer my hand to her. Let's go, then. She happily takes my hand and we walk back to the castle, each dreading the work we have ahead of us. Your Highness, Caleb is waiting for us at the castle entrance. Caleb, I nod at him. We have been summoned to a special session by the council, he says, and I frown. What's a special session? Vera asks, looking at Caleb with a worried expression. It can mean anything, but we should hurry in, I don't want that weasel Caldwell to get in ahead of us. Caleb turns and goes into the castle first, leaving Vera and I behind. Good luck, she whispers, rising to her tippy toes and lightly pecking me on the lips. We're still not used to showing affection in public, much less within the castle. She goes in before me, turning directly towards the king's wing, or rather, to the clinic. I go in shortly after her, taking in a large breath before facing that den of snakes. Vera, when I walk into the castle again, I feel a wave of renewed energy. Being able to let my wolf out felt amazing after such a long time, even better that I got to go with Noah. Before entering the new clinic again, I take a deep breath, not at all excited to face all of the work ahead of me. When I open the doors, most of the papers I was working on have been sorted, as well as the medication, much to my relief. In the middle of it all, I find Charlotte and some of the other girls that volunteered to make this clinic happen. When she sees me, she jumps up and runs to me. Oh! Vera! It's so good to have you back! She says, hugging me tightly. I hug her back. It's good to see you, Charlotte. We were only away for a few days, but they were eventful ones, apparently not just for me. You have to tell me everything that happened here while I was gone, this place is a mess, I tell her. She rolls her eyes, You have no idea, she says, come. Let's have lunch first. I'm starving. I take a quick glance at the clock, noting it's actually past lunch time. I didn't realize Noah and I had been out this long, we left somewhat early. She takes my arm and we leave for the dining hall. Hey, Charlotte? I was thinking maybe we could have lunch at the garden. Her eyes light up. Sure thing. Ever since we took care of Alistair, Charlotte no longer has to hide her garden. In fact, we got rid of the fence that surrounded it and hid it from the outside world, and we have now even extended it to the closest courtyard. The flowers and vegetation have taken over most of the stone statues and the fountain in the middle. Many people within the castle have now started to come here in their time off to relax. It's made me think that maybe she should turn all the cold, unwelcoming courtyards in the castle into gardens. Once we get our food from the dining hall, we head towards the garden, sitting at the gazebo where we first met. We start eating in silence, but it doesn't go on for long. Is it true you almost killed Lucas's mate? She asks, a glint of mischief in her eyes. Oh goddess, I say, where do I even begin? Have you met her? I ask her. I have. She seems nice, but she is absolutely terrified of you. Lucas says you almost killed her and her mom, she says, taking in a mouthful of fruit. But do you know why I almost killed her? No. Nobody wants to say why, that's what's upsetting me. I laugh. Of course they don't want anyone to know. So, the council lied. They were sending Noah out to Cerulean House to look for a wife, I say. Shut up. Charlotte says, shocked, don't tell me, she was, yup. She was House Cerulean's pick to be Noah's wife. The only way to stop that was for me to challenge her to a duel. If she won, she'd be allowed to become his wife. If I won, she'd have to give up any notions of becoming queen. She's gaping at me. So, she found out Lucas was her mate after the fight. She already knew Lucas was her mate before we fought, but we still had to go through with it. Oh goddess, no wonder she's terrified of you. She seems so sweet, I'm surprised they thought she stood a chance against you. They even tried to poison me with wolf's bane. I say, taking a sip of my water. Charlotte's mouth hangs open. Yet, have you met her friend? Kasia? She's a witch, I whisper this last part and Charlotte's eyes go wide, her hand flying to her mouth. No, she whispers. Charlotte is one of the only people here that knows for a fact that I'm a witch. It was very hard for her not to suspect after that time at the garden, when the moon peonies called me to them. I also decided to tell her because I'm helping her out in the garden as a way to practice my magic. It would have been very hard to hide it from her then. Oh yeah, I don't know how much power she actually has, but she's a witch, so they used all kinds of potions and stuff while we were there. I lean a little closer to her. They even tried using a pheromone perfume so Noah would be attracted to her. Charlotte bursts out laughing, and so do I. When our fit of giggles is done, she wipes a tear off her eye. This is too much. No wonder they don't want anyone to know. How too embarrassing. I sigh. I mean, I can't blame them. I say, they were desperate for the king's favor, and Lucas is just a warrior to them. Hey, she says, lost in thought, You know, it surprised me a little when she turned up with her mark already. It usually takes a little more time. Do you think maybe she did that so her mom couldn't oppose the union? I mean, if she's already marked, I hadn't thought about that, but knowing her mother, it probably wouldn't have stopped her, anyway. It was Noah who negotiated her coming with us. Well, it was nice of him to do that. And it was nice of you not to kill her, we both giggle. So, tell me what happened at the clinic, exactly. We're both done eating, but we stay a little longer. I missed having a friend to talk to. The healers went crazy. Vera. They came in the same day that you left and started dismantling everything. We didn't know what to do, so we started putting everything back together, but they ran us off. We weren't even allowed inside the clinic. When you say us, I mean all the women you recruited to train as nurses and healers. I massage the back of the neck with my hand, tension already building there. You've got to be kidding me, I whisper. I know they said they'd get in line, but they clearly still feel a certain kind of way about changing their old ways, she says, apologetically. It's okay, Charlotte. I comfort her, change is always difficult. Behind me, someone clears their throat. Charlotte's eyes fly to the person behind me. I better get going, I'll see you later, V, she says, taking her food tray and mine back to the dining hall. I smile at her and mouth thank you before turning to the person behind me. Vera, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was hoping I could get a word with you. Cassius says. Sure, come, sit. I motion to the seat that Charlotte just emptied. So, I know it isn't really my place, considering everything that happened back at the manor, but I was hoping you had a job for me. I frown and move my head to the side at her as she takes a seat in front of me. I mean, Jeremy has found his way into the kitchen thanks to Lucas. Apparently, with so many new people in the castle, they needed the help, and that's like his dream. That's what he did at the manor before everything went to shit. And Violet has decided to train with Lucas because you made it painfully obvious how useless she is in a fight. She wants to make sure she can protect herself. I mean, it makes sense considering you didn't even have to turn to your wolf form to defeat a fully turned Lycan. I mean, wow. Where did you learn to fight like that, by the way? Never mind, point is because I'm a human I don't really have to train, it would be wasting everybody's time, and I obviously can't go to the king about this, so I was hoping I could talk to you about. She seems nervous, so before she continues rambling on, I extend my hand to her on the table, palm up. She looks down at my hand doubtfully, but eventually places her palm on mine. I close my eyes, concentrating. I take in a deep breath, and then let it go slowly. I do this about 3 times until I can feel her energy and anxiety decreasing. When I open my eyes, I notice she had closed hers too. When I sense she's significantly relaxed, I remove my hand from under hers and she opens her eyes. How did you do that? She asks. Perks of being a witch. It's a breathing exercise. You seemed nervous? I lie. It's not entirely false, the breathing does help. But as a witch, I am in tune with people's emotions, and sometimes, I can even influence them a little. It works wonders for cases like these. So, Kasia, what would you like to do in the castle? I don't know, whatever is useful to you guys. What did you do back at the manor? Well, I was a maid, but I see there aren't any here. Everyone kinda looks after themselves, even the king. And would you like to be a maid here? She stays silent for a while as she stares at her hands on her lap. No, she whispers. I smile. So, what would you like to do? Anything that's useful, she repeats. It won't be useful unless it's something you enjoy. What did you want to do when you were younger? She stays quiet again. I always wanted to be a scholar, she whispers timidly. I also love healing. It's why I know my way around plants. Was the greenhouse back at Cerulean House yours? Her eyes widen slightly as her gaze meets mine. How did you? She begins, but decides not to question me. That place was a secret, nobody but Jeremy and I knew about it. It was built by our mom before she passed. It's where I grew most of the herbs and plants I used. I'm sorry for your loss, I say genuinely. Come with me, I have the perfect job for you. She hops out of the chair, excited. Oh, thank you so much. I promise I won't disappoint you. Don't thank me yet. 2 other people have tried to do this job and have quit in under a week. She doesn't seem fazed at all. If I survived Cecil, I can survive anything, she declares. I chuckle. Honestly, I believe her. We make our way inside the castle, passing through the dining hall that is now deserted. Passing through the dining hall and the kitchen reminds me of Jeremy, and thinking of Jeremy reminds me of a question I've had since I met these two. Kasia, you and Jeremy look nothing alike. Are you guys actually brother and sister? She blushes as we make our way up the stairs. I'm adopted, she says. Our parents found me in the woods, abandoned, and took me in. I smile at this. So, we really aren't that different after all. Your parents seem like good people, I note. She smiles sadly. They were the best. We walk the rest of the way in silence, considering Kasia is already panting and we aren't even halfway. When we get to the large doors that lead to the library, she's very out of breath. She is really out of shape. Here we are, I say, opening the grand doors to the library. Unlike the first time I came here, this place is now booming with activity. Different scholars with their assistants have come back from all over Lycan territory and have returned this place to its former glory, well, according to Eldon. Speaking of whom, Vera. My dear wolf, it's good to have you back. Eldon comes to meet me at the door, giving me a quick hug. Ever since Alistair was taken care of and the scholars were allowed back in the castle, Eldon's mood never seems to sour. It's good to see you too, I say, hugging him back. He separates from me and sniffs the air briefly, wrinkling his nose. He smelled her. Eldon? Is there a place where we can talk, privately? I ask as he gazes in the direction of Kasia. I can feel her getting nervous again. Sure. Follow me, he says, guiding us to a place in the library that isn't so bright and filled with people. Once there, we sit at the table furthest from everyone else. Even if this is all back to how it was, I wanted to keep a dark corner for myself, he explains. Of course, he would. Eldon, this is Kasia, she came back with us from Cerulean Castle and she's friends with Lucas's mate. I begin to explain, but he interrupts me. Which he eyes her accusingly. I turn to Kasia and she's already turning pale and gulping nervously. Eldon, behave. I tell him, Kasia is not dangerous to us and she would like to be your assistant. I what? She what? They both protest at the same time. She has an affinity for plants, but she needs a lot of practice. She would also like to become a scholar someday, and you're the very best. She could learn a lot from you. I say. Kasia is looking between Eldon and me erratically, like a prey animal looking at two predators. After some deliberate silence and sharp glares at Kasia, Eldon speaks again, only because it's you, he tells me as he gets up and signals for Kasia to follow him. Come, girl, I have a special lemon tea I'd like you to try. He winks at me before disappearing through one of the many halls in the library and I slowly shake my head at him in disbelief. I know exactly what tea he's about to give her. I stay seated for a few minutes, just making sure I don't hear any gurgling or any signs of distress from Kasia. Then, I get up and head towards the main doors. My job here is done. Let's just hope the tea doesn't actually kill her. I make my way back to the clinic quickly, hoping to finally get some work done, but when I pass by the council meeting room, I hear a large commotion inside. More importantly, I feel Noah's murderous aura creeping from underneath the large wooden doors. Vera, I don't know if to stay by the door to see what's happening, or go my own way and wait to hear from Noah what happened during the special session. As I take a step towards the clinic, deciding it's best I don't interfere, Noah's aura becomes even grander and much more violent. It literally stops me in my tracks. I take a look at the guards that stand at the doors of the council meeting room, and they look back at me. They're both sweating and fidgeting. I look towards the doors to the room, sensing someone coming close. Eli comes bursting in through the doors, looking flustered, a bead of sweat rolling down his forehead. You have to get in there, Doc, he says, looking rather frightened. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's going to kill them all if... He trails off as we both sense him coming through the doors. Unbelievable, Noah fumes as he explodes through the doors. The guards look at each other nervously. Eli looks at him with certain apprehension. Behind him, Caleb comes out, tugging at his sweaty shirt collar. He clears his throat. Your Highness, I think it's best we postpone this meeting until we can come up with a plan. I think it's best for all of us to just go our own separate ways. Or we could end this now, you cowards. Noah yells at the council from the door, his Lycan eyes beginning to swirl in his pupils. Caleb and Eli turn to look at me and I understand that they want me to calm him down. I step towards him cautiously, remembering he told me his Lycan has been more and more volatile lately. Noah. I whisper, come on, let's go. No. He growls at me. It's the first time he's ever done that unprovoked. Come on, I coax him, placing my hand on his arm, trying to use my magic to calm him like I did with Kasia. He seems to relax a little, enough to get him away from the council. Now that I am close enough to look inside, the council members seem paralyzed in fear. I can't be sure, but one of them looks like he's about to faint. Even Caldwell, of all people, is sweating buckets and eyeing Noah cautiously. Noah closes his eyes and takes a deep breath to help him calm down. Caleb, please call Eldon to a meeting. He said some time ago that he had an idea of how to prove my parentage. Right away, Your Highness, he says, bowing slightly before leaving in the direction to the library. He's normally not as formal outside of an official setting, but I can see he's still frightened. Noah nods at the guards, who finally find the nerve to move and shut the doors to the meeting room. I'm sorry, he turns to me, they just have a way of getting under my skin. It's okay, I tell him. I can feel his aura decreasing with every second that passes, until I can't feel it at all. I sigh a breath of relief and notice that Eli is also beginning to relax behind me. Can someone tell me what happened? I ask after nobody says anything or even dares to move. Not here. Noah says, taking my hand and guiding me to a part of the castle I had never been, the council's chambers. We walk past many halls, Eli following closely behind. Finally, we reach a courtyard and Noah stops. The council is challenging my lineage, saying there is in fact no record of Alexander ever having a son. In fact, there isn't even a record of him taking in a mate, meaning that even if I am his son, I was born out of wedlock and I'd be a bastard with no claim to the throne. What? And this is all coming up now? And what is this obsession with marriage? I ask, indignant. They didn't want to challenge him before, they wanted to see what he was about first. Personally, I think they believed Noah to be stupid enough to be the perfect puppet. Eli says. They let Alastair be king for years. I protest, and he was no puppet. Yes, but Alastair was as corrupt as they are. Noah isn't. So now, I either prove that Alexander was in fact my father, or they will officially challenge my claim to the throne. What? But how can they do that? If they get the majority of the council to disavow my claim, I will have no option but to step down, Noah says, already sounding defeated. All of this because you wouldn't take a stupid wife? I ask. It's not just that, Vera, Noah runs a hand through his hair, they also want to raise taxes to the common people to make up for the land lost to the rogues. Of course, it's collected by the houses and then passed on to the castle, but they always steal from us, it's evident. But raising the taxes now? When so many people have lost their land and even family members. It's outrageous. I look at Noah and suddenly realize how tired he is. He's been saying it for a while now, but looking at him rubbing the back of his neck, the deep-set dark circles under his eyes and the disheveled hair, all of this is coming at a great cost to him. Your Highness, Caleb comes into the courtyard, followed by Eldon. Please, no more formalities. I'm tired of it, he says, pinching the bridge of his nose. Noah. Eldon begins, I have a document that indeed proves your birth, but it was never signed officially by King Alexander. He retrieves the document in question, unrolls it, and shows it to us. Alex Bellator, I read out loud, who is Alex Bellator? It's a pseudonym Alexander used when he was younger. He would travel around the entire land with that name when he was a teenager, fighting his way through the territories. I turned to look at Caleb, and he had to sign Noah's birth certificate with his pseudonym. I ask in disbelief. It seemed like the right thing to do at the time, Vera. Nobody could know Noah existed, so this document was really only done as a formality so that then it could be amended, when King Alexander could finally publicly recognize him as his son. I'm furious. So, the only document that could actually prove Noah's parentage is useless? There's something else, Caleb says, because your mother came from an ancient clan of wolves. I have reason to believe that she did indeed register your birth with her clan. If everything went sideways for you here, at least with that document, you would be recognized as a member of her clan and taken in. She was a very cautious woman. And where is this document? Eli asks. I don't know, it wouldn't be here in Lycan territory, it would be too dangerous, which means, it has to be in wolf territory, I say. Correct, Caleb nods. Noah lets out a loud, exasperated breath. I can't believe this, just when I think we'll be able to catch a break, he says, trailing off into his thoughts. Vera, what do you know about the Gold Moon clan? Eli asks me, already trying to formulate a plan to get that document. They're one of the most powerful clans in all of werewolf history. They have the second largest span of territory in our land, so they're incredibly wealthy. Thriving economy, loved by their people, ruthless when it comes to protecting their territory, though. They don't like outsiders. Would you be considered an outsider? He asks. Well, Eldon interrupts me. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Vera, but I think we are failing to see the big picture here. Noah, the council doesn't give a rat's ass if you are the legit son of Alexander, they don't even care if Alexander married his mate or not, all they care about is not being able to control you. So, whether it's through challenging your lineage, or your status as a bastard, it doesn't matter, they will find a way to eliminate you. We all stay quiet for a minute or two, not really knowing what the appropriate thing to say is in this situation. So, all of this was for nothing. Noah says, finally sitting down on one of the benches, you know what? I never wanted to be king to begin with, I'll give them the stupid crown they so desperately want. Noah, you can't do that. I'm sorry but you heard the plans they have for the people, they'll run this entire kingdom to the ground. Leave it to the rogues to pick up the scraps. And then who's to say they won't initiate conflict over land with the wolves again? Without you, this entire place crumbles to the ground and us with it. Eli says. I don't talk anymore. He growls, his aura making its presence known again. I go to stand behind him, massaging the back of his neck to calm him down. After a while, Eli speaks, okay, what is that thing? I didn't want to say anything but it's getting out of control, kid. I couldn't even breathe back at the meeting. Vera seems to think my Lycan is some sort of hybrid, Noah says, his eyes closed. They all turn to look at me, expecting an explanation. Well, Noah's mom was not only a wolf, but she came from the Gold Moon clan. They have produced some of the strongest alphas ever known to wolves. This feeling seems a lot like a wolf aura, just stronger. They all stay quiet for a few seconds. Then, Eldon speaks. Interesting, he says, it's not completely outrageous. I'll do some digging. Eldon walks away, not giving us a second look. It's very typical of him. Noah sighs heavily, finally opening his eyes. Okay, let's come up with a plan then. Vera, are you sure about this? Noah asks me, taking my hand and squeezing it reassuringly. Yes. It's our only chance. It has to work, I smile at him but I lie. The plan that we came up with is an excellent plan, but it's time sensitive, and my role in it may be the reason why it fails. After many hours of discussing our options, Caleb, Eli, Noah, and myself finally came up with a plan. It's quite simple really. It's evident the council will challenge Noah's claim to the throne, and if Caleb is correct, they will do it today. The council was incredibly frightened by Noah's aura. It is in their best interest to get rid of him, soon. But considering they can't just remove him, they'll do it the legal way, by challenging his lineage. The thing is, even if we do manage to prove that King Alexander is his father, the nature of his relationship to Noah's mother will arise, and with it, her name and lineage. Noah is half-wolf, a half-breed Lycan. If that information gets out, not only will he be forced to abdicate the throne, but he could also be exiled from his land. Unfortunately, by proving that he is Alexander's son, the same document will inevitably expose his mother. That leaves us with no other choice. We have to get rid of the council. But we have to do it without them suspecting what we are up to. The first phase of the plan is simple. Let this council meeting run its natural course until they challenge Noah's claim to the throne. Then, a certain amount of time will be granted for him to gather the evidence and make his case. When the time is up, however, we will not be presenting said proof. We will be presenting a united front where healers, warriors, scholars, and common folk recognize him as king. In spite of the council, this is the second phase of the plan. Moreover, with how weak the houses have become financially and politically, it wouldn't be difficult to have them accept him as the king. Council or not, out of mere self-preservation. Essentially, we would be twisting their arms. That being said, if the houses still do not accept Noah as king and decide to boycott the castle financially, there are two options. Either we go to war with them and force them to submit, or my initial plan comes into play. Opening up trade routes with wolf territory. I came up with this idea a few months ago, really. Lycan territory is incredibly vast, but severely underdeveloped. Wolves have a diverse economy and advanced technologies, but with that, we have neglected our farmers and farmland, making it the perfect trade-off. They get to profit off of bringing their businesses into Lycan territory, and Lycans benefit from selling their crops to wolves while also enjoying their technological advances. Gone are the days where everything is handled through physical correspondence. We can actually have phones and computers here now. The possibilities are endless. And more importantly, it wouldn't matter if the houses decide to no longer support the crown, we would be sustaining a thriving economy without them. There is only one additional problem, however. This plan leaves us with one unchecked box, which is where I come in. For Noah to have a legitimate claim to the throne and therefore, the vast support of his people, we do in fact need to prove that he is Alexander's son, the natural heir to the throne, not for the council's sake, but for the people's sake. And if we prove that he is also part wolf through his mother's side, and from a powerful clan at that, there might be less resistance from wolves to do business with Lycans. But that is the key word, might. This crucial part of the plan could backfire, extraordinarily. By revealing Noah is part wolf, we would also have to reveal how the union between Alexander and Ellie Goldmoon came to be. How she escaped her husband to be with Alexander, defying her family's wishes and tradition. Even if we make a case for them being destined mates, her family could still decide Alexander kidnapped her and that she was an unwilling participant in the affair, making Noah not only a bastard, but a bastard conceived through force. Either way, I have to go back to Wolf territory to seek the most important part of this plan, Noah's legitimate birth certificate. If he has no legitimate claim to the throne, the people will not stand behind him. Seems like a simple plan, right? Then why am I so weary? After Noah, Caleb, and Eli left to face the council, I'm left not knowing what to do with myself. I'm already anxious about this whole thing. There are too many variables we aren't even considering. What if there is no document, here or in Wolf territory, to prove Noah's lineage? What if the Gold Moon clan, rather than accept Noah, see him as an abomination and declare war against Lycans for the kidnapping of their daughter? What if the council moves on removing Noah before we get the chance to pull this off? After a few minutes of going crazy with what-ifs, it's clear that my anxiety really won't help the situation at all. I leave the courtyard, determined to go up to the clinic and help organize everything again, but after careful consideration, doing that will only make my frustration worse. Instead, I decide to go work on Charlotte's peonies. Maybe concentrating on something else and releasing some of this pent-up energy might help calm me down. In theory, moon peonies only bloom for a few hours, or a day even, but the flowers that I initially used my magic on, have remained in full bloom. My aunt and grandmother have told me it's because I channeled my magic through them, which means they are sort of like a part of me. Or rather, reactive to the state of my magic. Charlotte has helped me shape them and guide their roots to where we want them, which really is all throughout the castle. They have already begun taking over the stone walls of the courtyard where the rest of the vegetation has taken up residence. I take a quick look around before beginning, making sure there is nobody watching me. I get on my knees in front of the first handful of flowers that I saved with my magic. I've realized that as I use my magic on them, their roots expand even more, making it the center of the growth. I take several deep breaths, trying to concentrate. With each breath, I let go of all my worries and anxiety, clearing my head to allow my magic to flow from my fingers onto the roots of the flowers, making sure it is not an erratic release. This has helped me greatly these past months to understand the behavior of my magic and what I can expect from it. I feel the telltale sign of my magic beginning to be released. My fingertips first feel warm, and then they feel a little shock of electricity as my magic is released. As I concentrate, I also feel my wolf close to the surface. I breathe out, and feel through the roots how new flowers begin to form all the way up in the castle wall. The feeling is elating. Now that I have somewhat learned to control my magic, I feel this connection to everything it touches, almost like the roots and flowers themselves are an extension of myself. When I'm satisfied, I slowly open my eyes and smile at my work. The flowers look radiant, sizzling with magic. Maybe it's a glow that only I can see, but it makes them so much more beautiful and fragrant. When I stand up and take a step towards the courtyard to see the new flower buds, I hear someone gasp. It's a wide-eyed Kasia, and she just dropped a full tray of food she was carrying with her. Vera, oh crap, I murmur. Kasia hasn't moved an inch. She's just staring at me, petrified. Kasia? Where did you go? I hear someone behind her. It's Charlotte. There you are, she says, looking at the tray of food on the ground and then looking at me. Oh no, she says. Kasia, I can explain. I say, stepping cautiously towards her. She takes a step back and I frown. Kasia, it's really not what you think, Charlotte backs me up. Not what I think. She just made flowers appear out of nowhere. She yells, finally coming to. SHHH. Be quiet. I say, coming closer to her and looking around to see if anybody heard her. You're a witch, she whispers to me. Kasia. Be quiet. I say, grabbing her arm and taking her to the gazebo in the garden. It's far enough so that nobody will hear us. I really have no other choice than to come clean to her, there's no spinning what she just saw. How can you be a witch, though? You're a wolf. Unless you're not a wolf, she gasps. Kasia, I will tell you one more time, lower your voice. I say. I will go get us some food, Charlotte says, nodding at the tray that Kasia just dumped all over the ground. Thank you, Charlotte, I say. No problem, she says, but mouths I'm sorry to me right as she turns to leave. Kasia, what I'm about to tell you is a secret, do you understand? Nobody else can know about this. She nods enthusiastically, the initial shock subsiding. So that's what it was, right? I knew it. I knew a wolf couldn't defeat a Lycan that easily, even if she's untrained. Violet is a beast. What spell did you use? She asks, a little too ecstatic. Hard work and determination, I say, a little annoyed that this topic hasn't been settled. Come on, but what spell did you use? You can tell me, your secret is safe with me, she winks at me, leaning in. Kasia, I am a trained fighter. I defeated Alistair and the witch that came with him, not to mention, do you wanna ask around how many Lycans here have had their asses handed to them by me? Give me a break, I say, pinching the bridge of my nose. What do you mean? But you're a witch, witches use spells and stuff, right? Yes, and no. There's different kinds of magic all around us, spells and stuff yes, but also more natural flowing magic which is what you just saw. She looks at me perplexed. I sigh. Spells, conjures, potions, etc., are ways to force magic to happen, to bend it as desired by the witch or warlock. But magic itself has a flow and a way, self-determination, if you will, and there is only so much of it that you can control, that's the way it's supposed to be. So, she says, but she doesn't finish her sentence and she stays quiet for a few seconds. So, I say, arching my brow at her. So, you didn't use your magic to defeat Violet? Goddess. No. I didn't. Quite frankly, I didn't have to. So, she really is that bad, isn't she? She sucks, I say, definitely. She laughs at this, thankfully breaking the tension and annoyance that was building inside me. Okay, so you're a witch. She looks around to make sure nobody is listening to us. Does the king know? She whispers. Of course, he knows, I start enumerating with my fingers: Caleb, Eldon, Eli, Charlotte, Lucas, and now you are the only ones who know for sure. I plan on keeping it that way. But you wanted to kill me back at the manor, she points out accusingly. I only said that to flush out the rat, I mean, to flush you out. How did you even know, though? I hadn't seen you and you hadn't seen me at that point. When Violet came in with that perfume of yours, I sensed magic. I wasn't sure if Violet was the source, but I knew something was up. Wow, she says, her apprehension suddenly changing to admiration, that's incredible. Well, I'm happy to inform I still managed to get us desserts. Charlotte comes in with a tray of food, just as my stomach growls. You're the goddess's child, you know that. I say, eyeing the food hungrily. Dinner time snuck up on me today. I start eating the meat pastries once Charlotte sits down and we all stop talking, much to my relief. These are amazing, Charlotte says between bites. I don't think they've ever tasted this good. I nod in agreement, too busy to talk. It's my brother, Kasia says, wiping her mouth. He's the best cook ever. Both Charlotte and I nod, devouring the last of the food in minutes. Once we are done, we move on to the dessert, a type of flan that I have never tasted before. Its tastes almost fruity. It's delicious as well. Ugh, I moan, this is amazing too. I'm so happy he came with us. He's even happier, you have no idea. Cecil had taken him out of the kitchen to patrol and pretend to be a soldier. He was miserable. When all three of us are stuffed, we stay seated for a little while, chatting. So, you're a wolf, but also a witch? Kasia asks after I explained my condition to her. Correct. My father was a warlock, and my mother was a werewolf. And you can turn into your wolf? She asks. I can. Ooh. I want to see. A spirit wolf must be quite a sight. I'm afraid I can't. Nobody can know I'm a witch, that's why we've kept the circle close. But how would they know you're a witch? Witches aren't wolves? She asks, genuinely confused. I smile and close my eyes, concentrating on my wolf. When she comes to the surface of my mind, I greet her as usual and she nods her head, understanding I don't mean to turn. Then, I open my eyes and look at Kasia. She gasps. Your eyes, she says, they're white. I close my eyes again, allowing my wolf to retreat. When I open them again, Kasia is still bewildered. Yeah, they're the eyes of a witch. My wolf's eyes are white, it would be very telling. But my eyes aren't white, she says, doubting herself. I extend my hand to her, inviting her to place her palm on mine. I focus some of my magic on her, feeling the electric current emanating through my skin. Can you feel that? Yes, of course, how could I not? I extend my other hand towards Charlotte, she places her palm on mine. Charlotte, can you feel that? I don't feel anything, she says. I retreat my hand from under their palms. The fact that you can feel it is a clear indication that you're a witch, Kasia. My wolf also sensed you before we even met you. There's no doubt of what you are, I just haven't figured out why your magic is different. Different how? Well, not that I have much experience with other witches, but the ones I've met have great control of their magic, maybe it's a matter of training." She stays silent, looking at me intently. All of a sudden, she hops off her seat and is on her knees in front of me. "Teach me! Teach me, teach me, teach me! Please! I'll do anything!" This is the first time I've ever met another witch and, no, a spirit wolf at that. "Please, please, 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 please," she pleads non-stop. I hear Charlotte giggle a little beside me. At least one of us is finding this amusing. "Kasia, get up," I say, trying to lift her. "Not until you say you'll train me." "Please," she pleads even more. "Kasia, come on, get up." "No. Kasia, please." "Ugh, fine. Fine. Not that I know much, but I'll teach you what I can." I finally cave in, "but you can't stop working for Eldon. I promised him an assistant and you're it." "Thank you, thank you, thank you. I promise you won't regret this." She's hugging my legs as I try to peel her off of me. She gets up and quickly collects the empty tray of food and rushes off in the direction of the kitchen, shouting thank you up to the air. I watch her run off with my hand on my forehead. What have I just gotten myself into? When Kasia left, I stayed chatting with Charlotte for a little bit. Not much went on while we were gone searching for a wife, of course, except the old-time healers dismantling everything we had been working on for the past few months. I should get going. Charlotte says, "Ethan will be back soon and I have a surprise for him, it's our anniversary soon." "A surprise for Ethan?" As curious as I am, I prefer not to ask what it is. If Charlotte is anything like Sophia, and she does remind me of her, I think I rather not know. I smile at her and wish her luck before she leaves. She smiles back at me and once again apologizes for bringing Kasia over. It turns out Kasia had been looking for me earlier and Charlotte was the one who hinted at me spending quite a bit of time in the garden. It was an honest mistake. I have been left with an unshakable feeling of dread since earlier today. Noah's wild aura, the council making moves to take away his throne, having to go to wolf territory to negotiate with the clans. Usually practicing my magic drains all of the negative thoughts, but this time is different. This time, the feeling is a lot like the one I had that morning I burnt Mehra's body, that terrible feeling of foreboding. My heart begins beating a little faster just thinking back to that day. And to think that we were naive enough to think that Alistair was going to be the biggest hurdle to jump through. When I finally decide to leave the garden's gazebo, it's already quite late, and yet, I can't see myself falling asleep anytime soon. So, instead of going up to our room, I decide to go to the other place that became my safe haven here, even from my thoughts. The library. I could even use some of that honey tea Eldon prepares. I take my time as I make my way through the library. I haven't been spending as much time there as I'd like. Nowadays, this place is always filled with scholars and their assistants. Not to mention, I have been keeping busy by the clinic. Somehow, I feel foolish having not thought of the possibility of the council turning on Noah. It makes perfect sense now. "Hey!" A voice calls for me. It's Lucas. I smile at him, actually happy to see him. "Hey, you! Long time no see." I tease. "Yeah well, He blushes. I've been busy. I bet. I laugh and he blushes even more. He clears his throat. So, the guys and I are having a little get-together out by the clearing. We're lighting up a campfire and whatnot. We thought you'd like to join us. I ask. Yeah, Violet and I. I move my head slightly to a side. Lucas, Violet is terrified of me. Well, he's taken aback by my comment, almost as if not expecting for me to know that piece of information. She is. But that's the point. I don't want her to be. I've tried telling her hundreds of times that you're cool and you hold no grudges. I mean everything worked out in the end, right? Right, I say. Would you please come? I don't want to keep avoiding you when I'm with her because she's scared of you. You've been avoiding me. I feign surprise, putting my hand on my chest dramatically. I actually hadn't noticed they had been avoiding me. I simply thought they were too busy and that's why I hadn't seen him around. I mean, kind of. He puts his hand on his nape. Violet freaks out every time she senses you close. Senses me. I laugh out loud. She must really be traumatized. She is. Everyone has tried telling her that there's no reason to fear you, but still, I smile at him. Lucas and I have become like siblings these past months, and even before that, we just clicked. I see why it's important to him for Violet and myself to get along. I'll come join you guys later, I smile at him. I just have to go talk to Eldon for a bit. Great. Thanks, cool, he says, happily jogging away. I sigh. Maybe the distraction will be good for me. It might even remind me why we're going through all the trouble to keep Noah on the throne. When Alistair was king, this little get-together wouldn't even have been possible. The mere air within in the castle was asphyxiating. I reach the library lost in thought, lost in the feeling of anxiousness. Opening the wooden doors, I step inside. All the lights have already been turned on and there is a faint moonlight glow coming in from the floor-to-ceiling mosaic windows. There are many people studying in the refurbished study tables, each with a pile of books and a little table lamp on. I make my way to Eldon's dark corner. I still remember when this entire place used to smell like mold and abandonment. It makes me smile to think how far it has come. When I reach Eldon's corner, I begin to smell for him. It's easier to find him by scent now that the library is clean. Before, he smelled no different than the mold that had become resident here. It was impossible to find him. Now that everything is clean, his scent sticks out like a sore thumb. Unsurprisingly, I find him in one of the far-end, abandoned bookshelves. From behind, I see him lift his head to sniff the air. "Ah, my young wolf, what brings you all the way here?" he asks, shutting the book he had in his hand and placing it back on the shelf. "I was hoping you had some of the magical, relaxing tea," I ask, crossing my arms on my chest. "Always," he says, walking past me and disappearing into one of his hideouts. "Follow me," he says, to my surprise. We enter one of the tunnels, this one hidden behind a bookshelf. It's one I had never seen before. "How many of these are there?" I ask in disbelief before entering the tunnel. "More than you'd like to know," he says, entering behind me and placing the bookshelf back in place. We walk for maybe 20 minutes until we reach an exit. As soon as he opens the fake wall leading outside, the scent of herbs, spices, and flowers hits me. That smells amazing, I say, sniffing the air and relishing on the smell. As I step outside, following the smell, I find yet another greenhouse. This isn't the same one I saw before leaving to the cabin all that time ago, this one is bigger and fully stocked. There's even a lovely, quaint table in the middle with 2 seats. How many of these do you have? I ask, stepping closer to the table. Just the 2, he says, rummaging through his garden for the herbs he's going to need for the tea. This one is by far my favorite. He quickly fires up the antique stove with some firewood, placing the kettle on top of it to heat up the water. In no time, the tea is ready. He serves 2 cups and joins me on the table, placing a small glass with honey and a spoon in front of me. Watching Eldon in his natural habitat is fascinating. Despite being blind, he is the most independent and self-sufficient individual in the entire castle. I take the honey and put some on the tea, sipping on it carefully so I don't burn myself. So, tell me, my dear wolf, what's got you so worried? You can tell. Always, he says, sipping on his tea. I sigh and begin telling him everything. From the plan, to my involvement and plan to visit wolf territory, how everything could backfire and how apprehensive I am about Noah's aura. He stays silent for a while, contemplating everything I just told him with a grim expression. Vera, there's one more thing you should be worried about. I frown. What's that? The witch mother. Vera, I stay silent, observing Eldon carefully. I have not confided in anyone but Noah what I know about the witch mother and spirit wolves. More importantly, I have not told anyone that both my grandmother and aunt believe her to be alive. I always thought the witch mother was just a myth, a legend perpetuated by witches and warlocks to instill fear in other creatures, but I'm beginning to think my initial assessment may have been wrong. I now believe that the witch mother was the witch that accompanied Alistair and made him believe she was his mate all those years ago. I have no other explanation for the level of power she had. What I still have yet to figure out is, why? Why go through all the trouble? It also doesn't escape me that her body was never found. When we went looking for her remains, there was nothing there. Once again, I stay silent. It has never been out of mistrust that I have chosen to keep things from Eldon. He was and still remains one of the people I trust most in this castle. Noah and I simply figured that keeping it between the 2 of us would protect everyone else around us. If they don't know, they have plausible deniability. Also, they wouldn't go digging for information that could prove dangerous. The scholars and I have been searching endlessly for any books, manuscripts, folktales, witnesses, or anything that may help us figure out how to destroy her, but we've had no luck so far. The accounts we have of her are not only ancient, but they paint this woman as evil personified in a literal force of nature, and I'm afraid she may seek retaliation against you. Her name was Mehra. Eldon blinks. Who? The witch that accompanied Alistair. Her name was Mehra. I killed her and burned her body, that's why you couldn't find any remains. You killed the witch mother. Eldon says, his eyes opening up wider. She wasn't the witch mother, Eldon. She was a mere servant. In fact, she even offered to take me to the witch mother to serve her as well. He stays silent, looking at me. I know he's blind, but sometimes when he looks at me, it seems like he can see through my soul. This is one of those moments. But you are not wrong to believe that the Witch Mother may be alive. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I have agreed to not shift to my wolf form as often. My wolf is sort of a beacon for magical creatures. But that's not all. I pause. She might not only be after me. What do you mean? You asked why that witch would have such interest in Alistair, and the truth is, she didn't. She found the weakest link and used him to kill King Alexander. Noah was only spared because nobody knew of his existence. There's a prophecy, Eldon, that says that the end of witch kind will come about at the hands of the first son, which is in reference to Alexander's bloodline, he says. Yes, he observes me in silence after I let him in on my secret. I'm trusting Eldon will be cautious with this information, not only to not tell anyone, but to not go digging where he'll only find bones. Everything makes sense then. I was right in my suspicion, only I had the wrong culprit, and the wrong reason, he says after a while. No wonder I was hitting wall after wall in my research. Eldon, you have to be careful. If the Witch Mother is indeed alive, which we have every reason to believe she is, we don't know under what capacity or with which magical abilities. Don't worry about me, I'm a ghost, but Vera, you have to be very careful. Alistair had loyal servants within the castle, many of which I can guarantee are still here amongst us. If he had eyes and ears here, I wouldn't be surprised if that witch did too. I nod, even if it's just to myself. How much do you trust Kasia? I may put her on a special mission to investigate some documents I can't yet read. We only just met, but my wolf seems very comfortable with her. She's just young. Besides, the tea didn't kill her, clearly. He chuckles. She even asked for her seconds. Well then, I better get back up there before the nosy scholars come into my corner wondering what kinds of books I've been collecting. We both stand and he leads me to the door. You know, you could probably let Kasia help you out with the greenhouses. She had a very beautiful one back at her home. I'll think about it, he says, this way. He leads me to the entrance to the tunnels once again and opens the fake wall. After you, he says, and I comply. We begin walking once again towards the library, reaching it soon after. When we enter the library again, we say our goodbyes and Eldon disappears into one of the corridors filled with books yet to be organized. I stretch, cracking my neck, my back, and my arms. I'm so tired. I feel like these past months all I have done is try to distract myself from this terrible feeling of foreboding, but now it's coming back with a vengeance. My head is lightly throbbing from the terrible sleep I've been getting. It's all stress-related, no doubt. I groan as I remember my promise to Lucas. Stupid bonfire. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even go. Screw Violet and her fear of me. In fact, she does have good reason to fear me. She tried to take my mate. Not only that, but I defeated her despite her cheating. I let out an exasperated huff, trying to get rid of my sudden sour mood. All I want right now is to soak in a nice, hot bath, but I have to do this for Lucas. Stepping out of the library where the level of activity betrays the hour, I walk through halls and countless stairs to reach the entrance of the castle, which is literally the other end of the castle from here. When I get to the entrance of the castle, I note that it is mostly desolate. The warriors are no longer training and the dining hall is completely empty. I step onto the threshold of the main doors to the castle, greeting the night guards who politely greet me back. I stretch the tension off my body once again, letting the cool night air clear my thoughts, but instead, the smell it carries makes me frown. The air smells of the bonfire and a whole lot of wine. The more I near Lucas and everyone else, the more intense the smell of alcohol gets. Soon, I hear loud chatter coming from the clearing and feel the warmth coming from the bonfire. Oh goddess, what am I walking into? When I step into the clearing, this is a lot more people than I initially anticipated. I recognize a few familiar faces: Ethan and Charlotte, Mason and Eva, Lucas and Violet, and then Ezra, Jeremy, and Thomas off to a side. Vera. You came. Lucas notices me. It doesn't escape me that he's a little more smiley than usual. In fact, they all seem a little drunk. Of course. Are we celebrating something I wasn't aware of? There's a lot of people here. Well, it was initially going to be something small, but when everyone else heard about the bonfire, more and more wanted to come. How could I say no? Yet, how could you? I mumble to myself. The bonfire is voraciously eating away the wood within it, demanding more and more firewood. It's crackling in the middle of the clearing, taking away the chill of the evening. Hey, Violet! I told you she'd come! Lucas yells. Chatting away with a group of people, I notice Violet meet Lucas's eyes and then mine. She pales. There's a certain level of satisfaction I feel in her reaction to me, a wolf coming into Lycan territory and defeating their equivalent to a princess, without turning or cheating. I should make sure it's at least a footnote in their history books. Despite this feeling though, I did promise Lucas to make this right. It's ridiculous to think that they'll be avoiding me forever if we live in the same place. Not to mention how close Lucas is to Noah and I. I smile at her and she gulps. Violet turns to look at Lucas again and he nods reassuringly, extending his hand to her. She takes a few wary steps towards us and when she finally reaches us, she chokes on her first few words. Hi. Vera, we were hoping you'd come, she says, holding her drink tight. I smile at her again and take a step closer, surprising her. I guess I could tell her it's all right, that she has nothing to fear and that we're good, but I tried that last time on our way here and apparently it didn't work. Even buzzed, she seems very anxious. So instead, I surprise her and myself and I hug her. It takes her a moment to process what's happening, so I hug her a little tighter. It's a comforting hug, one that really says you have nothing to be afraid of. Of course, I'm also using a little magic for her to relax. She hugs me back, finally releasing the tension she had been carrying. When I separate from her, I hold her at arm's length. Violet, I'm sorry you've been walking around here thinking of me as a threat. I'm really not. Everything worked out wonderfully despite us meeting under such stressful circumstances. Thank you so much, she says. Genuinely, during training everyone kept saying how I should watch my back because I tried to take your mate from you and how I was lucky you didn't kill me back at the manor. It got to me. I roll my eyes. Of course, they would tell you that. Boys are stupid, I say, eyeing a few teenagers that I helped train that no doubt have been telling her these things. They quickly disperse when I narrow my eyes at them. Are you sure we are good? I mean, I would understand if we weren't. Yes, Violet. You can relax. You're Lucas's mate and Lucas is like a little brother to me. She turns to Lucas. He smiles down at her and nods again. In that case, I was also hoping we could maybe train together, she blurts out quickly. I move my head to a side, surprised by her suggestion. It's just Lucas is too nice. He never really trains with me. Back at the manor I used to train with Jeremy, but he's as bad as I am. The other warriors also don't like to train with me because I'm a girl and Lucas's mate. You're the only one who won't go soft on me. You make a good case, I say, pretending to think about it for maybe a little too long, her hope deflating with every passing second. I'll train with you under one condition. She lights up. He can't be anywhere near us. I point to Lucas. Hey! Lucas protests. Done. Violet says without giving him a second thought. He looks back and forth between the two of us. Unbelievable, he says, turning around and walking away from us angrily. Violet and I stare at him as he walks away and then turn to each other. We start giggling at Lucas's expense. I can hear you. He shouts behind him, and then we really start laughing at him. I'm sorry, he can be very protective, Violet says. You don't have to apologize, they're all like that. I stay chatting with Violet for a few minutes until someone else calls her and she leaves. What was that about? Charlotte comes up behind me. She had been looking at the exchange from the distance. I wasn't sure if I should come rescue you, so I just watched. She laughs. Oh no, I was just burying that hatchet. Apparently, Lucas and Violet had been avoiding me altogether. Goddess, she says, face-palming her face, I didn't think it was that bad. Me neither. I shrug it off. I need a drink, I tell her. Well, if it's wine you want, Ethan can go get it for you, she says. Ethan, she calls to him. I look at Charlotte and notice the drink she's holding is not alcoholic. What are you drinking? I ask her, curious. This? It's this tea Jeremy prepares, it's delicious. Want to try? She offers me her cup but I decline. Something about the smell makes me slightly nauseous. Why aren't you drinking? I ask. Charlotte is not one to shy away from a glass of wine or two. I didn't feel like it today. I have an early morning tomorrow, she says dismissively. I narrow my eyes at her, not believing her in the slightest, but I decide to not press for more information as Ethan comes over and hands me a drink. Thank you, I say, smiling at him. You're welcome, he says in a tone that's colder than usual for him as he walks away. I frown, not understanding his mood. Don't mind him, we had a fight and he's being annoyed about it, she says, rolling her eyes. I open my mouth to say something but close it. It's really not my place. If she wants to tell me, she knows she can come to me anytime, anywhere. Unexpectedly, the wind starts blowing in my general direction, demanding my attention. I let it soak into my skin, urging me to walk a certain direction. After only a few steps, I know exactly where I'm going. Vera, I keep walking in the direction the wind is guiding me on, but I already know this sensation and this smell. Noah is around here. I figured he would still be at the council meeting. After all, he would take them by surprise by challenging them, and you never know what the council might do at any given moment. I assumed the meeting would take all kinds of twists and turns. When I'm far enough from the bonfire, I feel him and, more importantly, his aura. It's faint, but it's a grim indication of how the council meeting went. Getting closer, I find him sitting below a tree, looking up at the full moon. Noah. I call for him so as to not take him by surprise. He turns to look at me, standing up immediately. He's wobbling. Has he been drinking? Noah, are you all right? Just, hiccup, maybe a little too much wine. Now that he's up, I can see that beside him are several empty wine bottles. Did you drink all of that by yourself? I ask, concerned. Hiccup. Yeah. What happened? I say, now directly in front of him. I put my arms on his chest and realize his heart is beating faster than usual. I came to find you after the meeting, but nobody knew where you went. Hiccup. They saw you at the library, but then you just disappeared. I was outside the castle with Eldon. I explain. What happened at the council meeting? I ask again. He huffs, dragging a heavy hand through his hair. He extends his other hand to me and I take it as he flops us both to the ground. I'm sitting with my back to his chest as he rests his back on the tree again. He's caressing my arms gently, but I have a feeling it's an attempt to draw comfort from me and not the other way around. They accepted the challenge, as we expected, he says. And he stays silent. And I have to prove my lineage now, so the plan is in motion. I let this news sink into my stomach. I am coming face to face with my very legitimate fear of the plan failing and of all of this possibly coming to an end. Everything we worked for, everything that we have yet to do to make this a better place, could all go up in flames in the next. How much time are they giving you? He stays silent long enough for me to be unnerved. I turn to him. Noah, how much time do we have? He looks at me, suddenly sober. 1 week. I gape at him. 1 week. He nods, taking another swig of the bottle of wine he was holding. I down the drink Ethan got me, but it's not enough. I take the bottle from Noah's hands and down a giant swig. We have 1 week to execute an already intricate plan. I thought they normally gave like a month? What happened? Noah pinches the bridge of his nose. They're desperate to get rid of me, that's what happened. If that's the case, if the council really is this desperate, it means that they actually see Noah for the threat he is. In turn, this means that they might keep a closer eye on all of us and the plan will be impossible to execute. Vera, I doubt we'll be able to pull this off. I don't want you going to wolf territory anymore, it won't be worth it. We don't even know if such documents exist. It's too risky. Noah, I understand how daunting this all seems, but we can't just hand them the throne like this. This is your home, and you know what will become of it if left at the hands of the council. He hiccups again. Vera, I admire your enthusiasm, but I don't want you risking yourself for a plan that will essentially require a miracle. Because that's what we will need. A miracle. I'm a wolf, Noah, I won't be risking anything. The trail alone is dangerous. We don't even know how close the rogues are to us because Liam hasn't returned. Not to mention, I don't feel comfortable with you going without me. I'm a wolf, Noah. Entering wolf territory won't be dangerous for me, and even then, I'll have the protection of my pack when visiting the gold moons. I promise it will be all right. What you have to worry about is your end of the deal. He sighs, looking back up at the sky. After several moments of silence, he looks back down at me. Okay. We'll go ahead with the plan, but I will personally choose who will come with you, warriors we can trust. I smile at him and peck him on the lips. We'll be fine, I reassure him. He smiles back at me, but it's a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. We will, I'll make sure of it, he says, rubbing my arms with his hands. I return back to the resting my back on Noah. We both stay like this for a long time, just stargazing and drawing comfort from each other. At one point I even sigh, letting anxiety drain from my body. It didn't occur to me before that all I needed to ease my mind was to be with Noah. Come on, let's go get some rest. We'll have a busy day tomorrow, he says, standing up and lifting me to my feet. Hand in hand, we skip the bonfire area altogether and return to the castle. I was surprised to find you here, I tell him casually as we make our way back. I figure you'd be here. All of this was done so that you and Violet could kiss and make up. What do you mean? Lucas figured if Violet saw you interacting with other people, she'd be less afraid of you, he chuckles. Quite frankly, I found it all to be very amusing. He went through all this trouble just for that. Well, yet, he didn't want his mate living in fear, much less of you. I roll my eyes. This was so over the top. She asked me to train her, I say. She did, he laughs. I don't even know what I'm getting myself into. Kasia asked me to teach her magic, and now Violet wants me to teach her how to fight, on top of everything I already have going on. Kasia knows you're a witch? He asks in a hushed voice. Yet, she caught me using magic in the garden. And can she be trusted? My wolf seems to think so. In Q, I feel my wolf slightly come to the surface, showing her agreement. We reach our room and immediately get into our pajamas. I miss this. The simplicity of coming to bed together and just chatting, connecting. We've gone a long time without it. Once we're both lying in bed, looking up at the ceiling and unwinding from the day, Noah comes up over me and kisses me. It's a tender kiss, but it soon becomes a lot more urgent, demanding. I happily accommodate him between my legs and moan into his mouth, knowing exactly where this will lead. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.